Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to My Expanded Universe, a show where I go through the entire EU in chronological order as best I know how. Okay folks, we're going to talk about a slew of short stories here, and the first one we're going to start off is from James S.A. Corey. It was in Star Wars Insider 148, and it is called Silver and Scarlet. Now, this is a prequel story from his book Honor Among Thieves, which I haven't gotten to yet, but will in a future video. But this basically is taking one of his characters from that novel, Scarlet, and telling you about a job that she pulled off. Now, if I remember right, this job was mentioned in the book. So now you're getting to see what happened previously before the events of the novel. Now, just as always, you don't have to read this to understand the novel. It just explains more about something that was mentioned in the novel, which I kind of liked. And so this, to me, was a good story because, A, I love the character Scarlet, but again, I'll talk more about that when we get to Honor Among Thieves. The next short story I want to talk about is from the Star Wars UK issues 104 through 106, written by Archie Goodwin, and this is called The Weapons Master. It stars Luke, Leia, and the droids as they're trying to convince this planet to, join the rebellion. Well, of course, they get hijacked by stormtroopers, and they're on the run. And while they're, fending off against these stormtroopers, Leia decides it's a great time to, why not, tell a story about how she became so good with a blaster. And not much to this story. But I see where Archie Goodwin was going. He probably saw the film, New Hope, and he said, okay, we see Leia's really good with a blaster. Well, how does a princess, who usually wouldn't handle weapons, right? How is she so good with a blaster? So he decided to explain it. And again, this is what we all love about the expanded universe, right? It explains these little things that, do they need explaining? No. But someone like Archie Goodwin can look at the movie and go, let me tell that tale. Now, the way he set it up was kind of weird. And if you're thinking, Matt, how am I going to get the Star Wars UK comic strips here? No worries, because this was all reprinted in the excellent omnibus by Dark Horse, Wild Space Volume 1. In fact, it could be one of the greatest things, omnibuses, that Dark Horse ever brought out. When that omnibus came out, yours truly scratched off a ton of short comic strips, and what else did it have in there? It had a ton of little pizzazz comics in there. Stuff that I thought I will never find. I will never be able to track them all down. And when that came out, I was like, oh, it's so great. Is the story great? It's okay. I mean, Archie Goodwin, so you're going to have people saying yes. But I do like how he explains that one minor thing. It doesn't need to be explained, but it is. The next one is from West End Games. It's Han Solo in the corporate sector. It's basically talking about the blood stripe. Okay, now remember, West End Games, as I said before, had these little blurbs. Sometimes they're these one-page or half a page stories that happen in between the source book, which I always enjoyed. And this one stars our favorite rebel historian, Varan Naal, as he is interviewing Captain Solo, and he's telling him, how did you get that red stripe? Or what does the red stripe on your pants mean? Now, this is amazing that we need to explain the costume, the pants of Han Solo. Do they need an explanation? Yes, I love it. I love how they explain the blood stripe, which is basically something that I think was explained, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was explained in Brian Daley's books. But of course, just to remind you where it came from, Han Solo does this interview by this rebel historian who is, I've mentioned him before, he does a lot of interviews in West End Games. That's basically how they gave you information without just sounding like a dictionary, and I like that way of retelling something. Kind of getting off topic here, but C.S. Lewis and Tolkien were great friends. And so there is, I've read all the History of Middle-earth books, and one of them is called The Lays of Beleriand. Now, he sent them to C.S. Lewis to say, hey, look over these and make sure they make sense. Well, instead of just giving his notes, C.S. Lewis gave it back to him in the form of a story about these a circle of historians sitting around analyzing the Lays of Beleriand, saying, would it have been better for them to have said this than that? Do you think the author made a mistake when he repeats this again? And it was a neat way to say, here's my thoughts. And so West End Games does the same thing here by saying, man, this is just an information dump. Let's make it fun and let's change it into a story, like an interview. Instead of just explaining what the Carillion blood stripe is, let's do a little short story, or very, very, very brief short story. I think that's a wonderful idea, and of course it's another great reason on the thousands of reasons why West End Games was so good with their role-playing books. All right, folks, that's all the time I have for now. See you next time with another video.